Hey y'all, welcome to the channel. I'm Ken Smith, and in today's video we are going to do a full product review as well as assemble this beautiful kit made by BTS Structures. Really easy kit to put together. If you've never done a Craftsman's kit, I encourage you to take a look at this kit. This is a wonderful kit, easy to assemble. We're going to get into it right here, right now. Now, before we get started assembling this great kit, I want to thank our sponsors for today's video. First and foremost, B.T.S. Structures for providing us this wonderful kit. The Post Office, which is, again, part of the Cabin Creek series. For Excel Blades and Hand Tools for providing us with all of the necessary hand tools to assemble, and along with this wonderful cutting mat, self-healing cutting mat. And then Tyco glues for providing us with all of the glues necessary for assembling this wood kit. So I'll put a link down in the description for each one of them. Be sure to check out their links and their supplies and be supportive of those companies that have helped us today. All right, we're going to start by opening up the box and seeing what's inside. Very well packed. Just going to lay all the components here so that you can see exactly what came in the kit. And then we'll take a look at the instructions. And we'll begin assembling this. I'm really excited. This looks like our roofing material. Post office. Our window glazing. We'll get that out of the way. Our window and door castings. That might just be a tab that came loose, but we'll set it aside there anyway. So there's everything that has come in the kit that you see right there. So I'm going to put everything back into the box so that I don't lose anything, and then we're going to take a look at the instructions. Now, one of the things I can tell you as I read the instructions, I really can appreciate how well they're written. Not only does Bill take the time to really just have very well written and detailed instructions, but I mean, even things such as gluing, he suggests the type of glue, how to use the glue, how to apply the glue. Same thing with sanding. The instructions are just excellent. When you come down to the parts list, again, everything is in detail. There's something I wanted to show you that really makes this kit just jump out at me right out of the chute, is take a look at all of the detail parts that are here. A jug, crate cluster, a pop bottle, a pigeon, a junk drum. You know, these are things that some manufacturers just leave out. And I was really excited just reading that. Something else I'd like to point out is you can see, first off, if you want to just go to the parts list, you can see where each part is numbered and lettered, and you will find those corresponding numbers on the actual parts themselves or right next to the parts on the wooden sprue. That is super nice. Really appreciate, I'm trying to get that in focus there. There you can see that. just well done. Again, just everything that I'm looking at, everything is numbered well. It's easily identifiable both on the parts list, which is important for you to check anyway for any kit. Make sure you got all the parts before you start. But then, again, just in the assembly process, everything is well labeled. After we get done with all the weathering and whatnot, I use a couple of different things to just file the windows. In my Excel kit, I use this sander and just gently go back and forth, up and down. Or if I really need to file a bigger space, I will use this file. And again, just up and down, in and out, so that I get a nice even side, and I'm not worried about being too oblong or whatnot. You want the window to fit in here really smooth. You don't want it to any kind of binding at all, and the window frames will kind of pucker and it won't look correct. And don't worry if there's a little bit of space on the top and the bottom. That'll be okay. You're going to cover that up with the sill and the sash, so there's not anything to worry about there. In the instructions, they indicate that you should take the main window frame and gently peel the adhesive backing on the back side of the window and secure that to the clear plastic window glazing. Now that is a very, very thin film on the back of the window casing. So what you want to make sure is that your windows fit all the way through without any kind of binding. If you can kind of see that, each window fits perfectly through. And the reason why you want to do that is you're going to use a little bit of the glazing edge all the way around to serve as kind of a place to secure the window from the inside. So let me show you what it looks like to kind of peel this off. And I'm using my Excel blade to do this. I'm trying to hold this. Normally I would have actually just lifted that up, putting a little bit of slight pressure on the window frame. So I'm kind of trying to hold the window frame while I'm trying to lift the paper backing. I might actually have to set that down here. Let me just do it this way. I found it a little bit easier, and I also I'm working around the camera too, which makes it a little trickier. All right, so now that I've got, you can kind of see that, I'll bring it back up. Now that I have that off, or lift it up, I just gently kind of peel it backwards and just pull that backing off. Now this is very sticky at this juncture. And then place it on the plastic. You kind of got one shot to do this, so you want to make sure that you're putting it in a position that is going to give you optimal cutting space and whatnot. I actually laid that down at an angle because I'm working around the camera, but that still gives me more than enough space to lay down my glue. And so that's exactly how you do this, and then we'll cut this around and then we'll glue that clear backing right onto the back side of each of our walls. All right, for the other part of the window, we need to do the same thing. We need to peel off that tape, cover, or backing, window backing if you will. And here we're not going to leave any plastic edge or overhang. This is going to be, eventually this is going to be flush. So what I want to do is get this as close to an edge as humanly possible. So I'm only cutting two sides, if you will. And again, just press that in location. I got a little bit of an overhang here that I'll have to trim off, but I got the side right where I want it. So again, just peel and stick backing, attach to your clear plastic, and then trim so that it is completely flush. If you have a little bit of plastic that's left over, you can use your Excel sanding stick and just lightly sand that until it's flush, and you should be good to go. If you've got a little more, then you can probably just use your Excel file. Both work. I think just for my own big paws, I prefer to use the sanding stick. It's probably less aggressive, but at the same token, it's just easier for me to hold what I'm sanding as well as holding the sanding stick still. And that gives me the finish that I'm desiring. I guess the thing I really want to emphasize is Just take your time. A lot of problems happen when you're working on a kit, especially a Craftsman kit, or really just about anything on a model railroad, and you get in a hurry, and you just don't need to be in a hurry. If you're trying to get this thing done because you're crunched in time, you're probably better off to just walk away, take a breather, and then come back at it. And you'll be happy that you did that, because you're less prone to making mistakes. So I'll see if I can kind of bring this a little closer so that you can see it. Maybe I'll put it on the box top here, a little contrast. We'll see if we can get that a little closer. That's what your window should look like. The second portion of your window. And yeah, so now we're ready to go ahead and glue and install these windows into our model walls. The instructions call for the use of Tyco wood glue to assemble the sides and the other wood components to each other, and to use regular white glue for around the window glazings and window trim and so on and so forth. The problem that I have with using Tyco wood glue, while it's a superior glue, it does have a slight yellow residue. This will dry clear, and it's also a very solid wood glue. So I would suggest using this in place of just regular Tyco glue, and use this in place of regular white household glue, and you'll be really happy. I like using a toothpick to apply glue to whatever components that I'm going to be putting on or putting together. And so just a little bit of a wipe with some glue. What I like about the Tyco also is that it says quick and thick, and they're not kidding. It's very thick, which makes it really nice as far as applying glue and it staying in position and not being too runny. That is something that I really, really like. The glue is can be a little bit tricky, especially with a guy with big paws like me. But again, because this dries nice and clear, if you apply it like Brill cream, for you old folks like me, you know what I'm talking about. A little dab will do you. For you young peeps out there, probably not so much. And again, I just go ahead and bring it to get her in position, press down firmly, and I just kind of use my finger to wipe off a little excess glue that might be sticking around. Again, like I said, it dries clear. That's what I really like about it, is you can see that it already holds it in place, and it doesn't take much, just a little bit of pressure, and that gets it in place. When I'm doing walls, I like lining things up exactly how they're going to be when they're erected. So I like putting all of my components in position as if they were going to be erected, and our windows and our frames all the way around the windows, same with the door that I just did here. I had it all in the same position, and it just makes it really easy. So all I have to do is flip over each side, flip it over. I know exactly which way I need to glue things in. So we're going to start next with gluing our window backing in first. Again, all we need is taking our as per the instructions, put a little bit of glue around the plastic, which will hold it in place. I suppose you could use a glue applicator, but I find that toothpicks work just fine for me, and of course your mileage may vary, but this is what I like doing. And again, by giving ourselves a nice little edge when we go to flip this down and put it in position like so, we're there. And because it's a clear glue, when dry, we don't have to worry about any smudges or anything like that. But you can see how that looks. And before we go ahead and glue the next one, I'm just going to let this dry. I'm just going to keep doing the same thing with our other walls. Next up, we're going to go ahead and start assembling the trim on the window. So we'll put this in position. And then with a little bit of pressure, we'll go ahead and put that in place. After that, we need to assemble the sill and the top section. They call it the header, and this is a little tricky to get in here using my Excel tweezers for that. Now that that's in place, now again, the nice thing about this glue is once it dries, it is nice and clear. Got a little happy with the glue. We'll go ahead. There's that. We got that in place now. Need to straighten that out just a little bit. There we go. That looks good. Then we're going to go ahead and put the top header on. And again, just a little bit of glue. That's all we need. Don't need a whole lot. And I kind of get my tweezers in position. Plop that right there. Hold that down for a few seconds. And that Type-On glue will hold. It will hold it in place. It's really nice to work with. There we go. And we've got our window assembled. So we now have all of our walls done, as you can see. And the next step in our instructions is to actually start assembling this. While our sides are drying, it's time to assemble the floor. And you notice that everything is well marked, well identified. And if we just set our instructions in front of us, I have all of the components right here. And each one of these components is also, there's a slight laser cut identifying the part numbers. It's kind of hard to see, but it's right here in that corner. That's A6. And again, you can see here in that corner A5, so on and so forth. So we're going to go ahead and start assembling our floor next. Now, as the building is kind of setting aside, drying, it's time for me to go ahead and cut everything else off the wood sprue, if you will. And we're going to use our Excel hobby knife for that. And I'm cutting this on a Excel self-healing mat. If you don't have one of these, I highly recommend that you get one. These are just great for doing this type of work. Well, as you no doubtedly saw, I broke 2 of the shutters. And so I'm going to go ahead and glue them on the wall as individual pieces, and then put these on top. And that should probably solve that problem. But, you know, some people might edit that out so that you don't see their mistake. But I got to be honest with you. I like seeing things like this in real life because real life happens. And so I just wanted you to see that I'm a humanoid too, and things happen. Well, I fixed them. Those are the 2 broken ones. Might need to do a little trimming, a little sanding on them. But overall, I think they came out pretty nice. So we're going to go ahead and assemble the rest of these now. Gone ahead and assembled the roof. Basically, you're just folding the cardboard and then you're taking the 2 inside braces and gluing them to the bottom of the cardboard, which is what I did here. And then I just gave it a dusting of paint to seal it. For the building, I've got the building pretty much assembled at this juncture. What I have done is I've gone ahead and did some dry brush weathering on it as well. I've assembled and glued in position all of the external trim pieces of wood, the shutters. You can see that the windows are now complete, and just gave it a light wash, which now really brings some texture into play. I'm really excited about how this looks at this juncture, and we're going to go ahead and finish it up. On the inside of the building, I went ahead and installed some strip wood just to give it the walls a additional support. Remember, this is sitting in a shed, so I want to try to minimize warping as much as possible. It also helps to keep the building square, so if you've got some strip wood, that's a great tool. If you don't have any lying around, look for things that you can use. As an example, this is some of the leftover wood from the kit, and this can also serve as some additional bracing. One of the things that comes with the kit is some tan-looking paper that can serve as window shades. And if you're willing to take the time and cut a few squares, cut them obviously bigger than the window, you can place them in strategic positions and it looks like that there's some window shades in there. So we're going to go ahead and do that next. After gluing those window shades in, you can see what a difference that really makes with the structure. I basically covered half of the window. You can also do some different heights in this one here. It's not quite halfway up. But just adding that little bit of detail really brings some additional life to this model. We're going to be gluing the roof onto the building. And in order to do that, we just simply put our roof in position. Like so. And then I'm going to take my toothpick and just kind of wipe those areas so that we're not having any lumpy glue mess. That'll take care of that. We're going to wait for the roof to dry. I'm just kind of pressing it down, making sure that I have the roof fairly centered on our structure. We're going to go ahead and let this dry. Once it's dry, we'll start gluing in the roof rafters that are sticking out. It's kind of hard to tell, but on the walls there is a slight engraving right up on the top, and that is going to allow you to center each one of those tiny little roof rafters that you need to glue in place. And like I said, it's really kind of hard to tell, but they are up, right up in there, and that's going to allow us to give that extra touch. Now, I will tell you, that's kind of some tedious work. So if you're not up for it, you don't necessarily have to do that, but I really think it really adds to the model if you're willing to do that. The other thing is that we've got some black paper here that comes in our kit, and we're going to use that for the roof material. We'll just cut this into strips and we'll glue that down. The other thing is the porch covering, if you will. If you look underneath, you want to make sure that those boards are actually facing downward. Don't make the mistake of gluing it with the boards facing up, because then you won't be able to see the detail from underneath. Gluing these little roof rafter ends is a bit challenging. It definitely enhances the model. If this is something that you don't feel comfortable doing, by all means, it's not going to affect the overall look of the model. But if you can glue these in, I highly encourage you to give it a whirl. Now, what I do is I just dip it in a little bit of glue, like you see here, and that's probably way too much glue. So I'll just kind of tap it around. If I need to, just wipe a little bit off. You don't need much, and then remember that you've got those guidelines in there, so you can just plant it like that, and you're done. And it's a little bit tedious, but that's literally how you can go about gluing all of those roof rafters in place. Now these lines are going to be cutting guides for me, and this is going to be our roof material. They're actually about the size that I need in order to create the rolled roofing effect. Looks like 3 rolls will do the trick, and so we're going to start there. We've got plenty of paper. That should be more than enough to do the roof and the porch. So that gives me some really nice cutting lines right there. Real simple to do. And we're going to go ahead and cut these up and start gluing them on the roof. And again, we're just using Titebond glue for this. Try to bring that right to the edge. Kind of went a little more on the inside than I wanted to be. We can always trim this off, so don't feel like you have to pre-cut all of these. I don't find that necessary at all. And once we get our starter stripped down, this is just like really roofing a roof in real life. We get our next layer down. And then we get our final layer, blah, blah, blah. And then we get our final layer down. There we go. Finally got all those words out. And that's our rolled roofing. Literally that easy. We don't even necessarily have to wait for the glue to dry to trim this. I just come from the underneath. And there we go. And that's literally how we can do a roof that quick. Now for the top piece, what I'll do is I'll cut a smaller one, about, maybe only a third of the thickness here, fold it in half, and then kind of use that as the final roof cap, if you will. I'm not sure what the exact terminology is called. It's called, but that is our plan. We're done with our model, and I am going to pick it up and kind of show you all of the detail and weathering that we've done. It's fully assembled at this juncture. We didn't really do any major modifications at all, and about the only thing we did is we changed the sign to match the name of our town, which is Destitute. By the way, it's just kind of a John Allen thing, but the way we spelled it was D-E-S-T-E-E-T-O-O-T. Destitute. Again, what an enjoyable model. The instructions were very clear. There was no guesswork in anything that required any type of assembly. If you follow the instructions, you'll assemble this model really in just a couple of nights. It's not a difficult kit at all. to build. You can see from trying to show you the underneath as well, and just all the different angles. But again, an exceptional kit. Not trying to knock plastic kits, they have their place, but I'm really excited about where we plan on putting this, as well as several other kits that we have from BTS. And what I did here is, instead of using a wire drill, I actually used the awl that comes in the Excel Model Railroad kit. And all I did was just kind of go right down in the edge, gently push this into the wood. I then put the brass wire in with just a touch of super glue to have that set, and then as soon as it's set, I lightly bent the wire in place. And as I didn't paint this, but I'm probably going to go over it with a black Sharpie marker just to make sure that it is completely covered up. But that's our finished product. It was a bit challenging to try to get peeled paint, but I think I replicated that really well. And I would tell you that that process is not for the faint of heart. So if you're not comfortable doing what I did, and what that was essentially laying down some enamel and then lightly brushing kind of a lacquer thinner over it. And so those two chemicals kind of attack each other, and that is how I got that peeled paint effect. And when I say lightly brush, I mean it was almost like dry brushing, because I didn't want mega chunks of paint peeling. And then once that thoroughly dried, I gave it a dusting of dull coat to just kind of hold everything in place. I really like how that came out. And again, that's not for the faint of heart. And I also like the chalk weathering that I applied. For the wood, this is just an old stain, kind of a stain wash that I created. And I kind of drooled on my roof right there, so that's not what I intended to do, but that will dry. Mother Nature will make sure that that dries, I guess. So anyhow, that's what she looks like. Really excited to put this out on the layout. Now, this is the general area where our town is actually going to sit. And so there's the backdrop and the mountains there. We've got a track that runs right here in the front. And then, of course, obviously the track that just starts to rise there in the background. So this is kind of the general area of where the town sits, and we'll kind of back up a little bit just so you can get kind of a bird's eye view of how that is going to look. Hey, remember to give us a like and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a wonderful day, and y'all be blessed.